Hello everyone, this is part 15 of What If Naruto Had the Ninetails and the Shinigami sealed inside him, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. So, we just wait. We should fight. Hiyori shouted as Urahara and the wizards stood at the distance watching Arashi and his men including Arturo come out of many portals. We should, but not now. Urahara said. Why? Lisa asked, sort of challenging Urahara's plan. It's not the right time. And that time will be. I'll let you know. Come on Naruto, keep up. Yoroiki said, looking behind her as she quickly began to run inside Las Noches. Well, would you slow down? Naruto shouted, struggling to keep up. I don't think that's a good idea. Naruto and Yoroiki stopped in their tracks as they witnessed a green Zero shoot from one of the tower-like things near the palace. Yoroiki tugged on Naruto's arm, urging him to keep moving, and he did. XXX. Sasuke swung his sword to the left, making Grimjo's sword lower to the ground. Sasuke simply punched Grimjo back, then kicked him against the palace. Grimjo punched Sasuke, then head-butted him back, only to have Sasuke knee him in the jaw. Grimjo then whipped his sword across Sasuke's chest, making him step to the right a bit. Sasuke wiped the blood from his mouth as he looked at the ground, noticing a red gleam shining behind him. Sasuke quickly looked over his shoulder to see Grimjo charging a Zero aimed at Sasuke. This time for sure, your S. Grimjo shouted and fired the Zero, making a pillar that was connected to the palace heavily damaged. Sasuke used darkness as a shield, then transformed the shield into an orb to blast back at Grimjo. Since the Zero was so powerful, the shield was weakened, so was the orb, so Grimjo simply swatted it away. The Arrancar then stepped forward and thrusted his sword at Sasuke, hoping to kill him. Sasuke grabbed the sword and redirected it to the air as he espered Grimjo and slammed him into the wall. Face it, Kit, I'm stronger than you, Sasuke said. Grimjo growled as he headbutted Sasuke once more, then sidekicked him back. His Ryatsu rose at a bone-shattering rate as his sword glowed. Grind, Pantera, Grimjo shouted. He's releasing his Zanpakuto, Sasuke thought as he looked at Grimjo and said, that much Ryatsu will open your wounds. It's worth it, Grimjo shouted as he then transformed. His white hollow material made him in the shape of a panther. Right now it's hard to describe, so I'll just show you his picture. Wikiuophile, Grimjo_. Grimjo then dashed towards Sasuke and punched him in the gut, making him fly into the air. Sasuke's right hand was then covered in darkness as he hurled it at Grimjo's direction. The Arrancar was already dashing towards Sasuke at blinding speeds. He took the hit directly, giving Sasuke an idea of where he was. Sasuke gripped his sword, then slashed at Grimjo when he was close enough for his range, but not close enough to swat him down. As Grimjo plummeted, he began to fire multiple darts at Sasuke. The Uchiha covered his feet in darkness as he darted away from the darts as they exploded onto the pillar behind them. Sasuke began to glide away as he ran alongside the palace, having the darts crash and explode behind him. One dart struck close enough behind him to explode with such a force to make Sasuke fly off and land on the ground. As Sasuke was on the ground, Grimjo was standing in front of him. His hands were balled up into a fist as he slammed him into the ground. The Arrancar grinned as his left fist glowed with intense Ryatsu as he punched Sasuke square in the face, making a head-sized June appear on the palace. Grimjo began to repeatedly punch Sasuke the same way with the same force, laughing insanely. Now's the right time, let's go, Urahara stated after a few minutes of waiting as the 8 of them dashed toward the tower. Part of the dome of the tower had been destroyed due to Arturo blasting through. Arashi and his Akatsuki had split up. Some of them are guarding the area while the rest are in the palace with Arturo. 7 people were guarding. There were 6 similar men standing, each with piercings and red hair, and then there was a blue-skinned man with a giant sword wrapped in medical tape. Only 7, I think you all can take care of em, I got bigger fish to fry, Urahara said, and Flash stepped away. So, he leaves us with these guys, Shinji complained as he unsheathed his sword. It could be worse, Love stated as the 8 wizards charged at the members. Shinji clashed swords with the Shark Man while Kensei and Mashiro were blown away by God Realm pain. Hiyori unsheathed her sword and unleashed her hollow mask and lunged at Preta, the fat pain body, who had recently rolled toward Hiyori in a huge boulder made of white hollow material. Lisa had been fighting off the summons from the animal pain but to no avail. She couldn't get through and was thrusted backwards and badly injured. Love stood where the human path was as they simply staring down each other. What is this person? Love asked in his mind, wondering who. Rose growled as the robe of Asura was taken off, unleashed 6 arms and a serrated blade-like tail. 2 of the arms were then detached and seemingly used like swords as Rose struggled to parry each of the attacks, growling on how difficult it was becoming. Urahara ran on top of the dome as he looked around, especially inside the dome since the Zero Blast was that huge. He saw Arrancar fighting Blanks and some of the Akatsuki. He looked up and was immediately punched by Arashi and sent flying back. So you decided to come? Arashi said. Yeah, couldn't miss it. Why are you and Arturo here? Simply a lure. Arturo has a bone to pick with these other Arrancars, especially Aizen, for reason I don't even know, probably just power, but there was a great opportunity in killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I simply gave an accurate hypothesis on what Naruto would do when he found out Kyoraku and Nanao were captured. And I was right. He asked for help. Luckily it was by Yoroiki, and since you two have such a great friendship, why not ask you? So you lured the wizards, your men, and the Arrancar to just have a big war. Exactly. You don't exactly plan on winning this war, do you? The odds seem to be in my favor. We'll see, Urahara said as he grinned and lowered his head. Seems like this party's getting crazy, let's rock. Urahara shouted as he was engulfed in a red aura. Once it disappeared, he was then in his true form. He was now Dante. So that's where you've been all these years, Dante. I decided to come back after my business in Fortuna was done, but enough with the talk. Dante lifted up Rebellion and charged at Arashi, who unsheathed his Zanpakuto as they began to strike each other. Their blades clashed, leaving sparks after each S. Dante stepped back, then stepped on Arashi's sword and pointed his silver gun, ivory, at Arashi's head, then shot. Arashi fell back as his mask cracked and half of it fell to the ground. Dante was surprised to see the bullet didn't pass the mask, and it made Arashi pretty mad. Hado 54, Hien. Arashi shouted, sending out a purple wave of energy darting at Dante like a bullet. Dante quickly rolled out of the way, looking back to see one of the pillars S in half. He grinned as he charged back at Arashi as they clashed blades. They both growled as they glared at each other, using so much force to try and thrust the person back. You shouldn't be allowed to wield that sword anymore. It belongs to Naruto. At least he used it and gave it a good name until you stole it. He was just a delivery boy for the inevitable, and besides, he couldn't use it with its full potential. Arashi said as the blade glowed red. Arashi's Ryatsu rose and he sent a red wave of energy out at Dante, making him fall back. Naruto and Yoroiki kept running down hallways, evading various Kido blasts from Akatsuki and Arrancar. Blood was quickly spraying onto the ground and walls of the damaged palace as the two quickly ran into a different hallway which hadn't been touched at all. There were some stairs leading to a room. Naruto figured that would be where the prisoners would be held. The two then heard this loud scream, then a figure leaping into the air, raising some bladed staff, aiming at both of them. Naruto and Yoroiki rolled out of the way, looking behind them to see an armored alien-like creature. It was hard to say what this creature looked like. It wielded a staff with chainsaws on the ends of it and a pistol. What the hell is that? Naruto shouted, a bit worried. I don't know, just get Kyoraku and Nanao out. I'll deal with this guy. Yoroiki said as she leaped toward the creature. Scourge. For those of you who played Gears of War 2, you know what I'm talking about. There'll be a picture of him on my profile for those who don't know who I'm talking about. You're pretty strong, Shinji said, slamming his feet on the ground to try and give a strong defense to this fish man. You're no slouch yourself, but you got paired with the wrong opponent. Kisame said as the medical tape on his sword unraveled and gripped Shinji's sword, pulling him forward so Kisame could knee him backwards. Kisame then espered his sword into the ground and then lifted it up, sending a wave of blue condensed Ryatsu over at Shinji. The size and motion of the wave was like a literal ocean wave. Shinji unleashed his wizard mask and put his sword in front of him, using his Ryatsu to split it, sending him back a few feet also. Kisame smirked as he dove in front of him. Shinji stepped on the piece of his sword that still had medical tape on it and jumped up, kicking the fish in the temple. Hiyori began to quickly flash step away from the pain body's quick movements, acting like a strong white boulder. The body hit her a few times and sent her crashing into the sand or the temple one time. Every time Hiyori would slash at the boulder, the attacks would do nothing and she would either have to get out of the way or get ran over. How am I supposed to stop this big boulder thing? My sword is useless, Hiyori said as she then thought of an idea. She flash stepped backwards and espered her sword in the ground. The pain body went back into non-boulder form as the white hollow material temporarily retracted from his face, chest and his front body. Hiyori unleashed her wizard mask and waited. She then motioned her hand for the body to come toward her in a taunting way. The white material then engulfed the body again and the body turned into a boulder and charged at the wizard. Hiyori grinned as her hand glowed red. Once the body was close, she shoved her palm on the boulder. The red cero then spread throughout the boulder, making its movement stop. After a few seconds, the pain body exploded from the cero and the white hollow pieces rained down in her area. Hiyori took off her wizard mask and sheathed her sword, then grinned and looked back to help Kensei and Mashiro on the god realm pain. We can't get near him. Mashiro pouted as she was shoved back. She then tumbled along the sand a bit until she finally got up. Kensei was shoved back also, but instead of tumbling he just crashed into the sand. I think I found some way to beat him. How? Did you notice anything from when we were fighting him? That he can shove us back before we can even get within a foot to him. No, that there is a 5-second interval before he can use that shove thing again, whatever it is. 5 seconds, well that'll help. What are we supposed to do in 5 seconds? Swift attacks, we can flash step, remember, then we would only have 1 or 2 seconds to get an attack in. Right, ready, yes. Mashiro and Kensei readied their Zanpakuto as Hiyori quickly landed beside them, offering her help. They had no problem with that as Mashiro flash stepped, acting as bait. Pain blasted her back while Kensei and Hiyori flash stepped in front of him and slashed them. Pain grinned. Once the Zanpakuto LD the cloth of his robe, he flash stepped away. Kensei's eyes widened. He did not see this coming at all. Mashiro got up and was quickly knocked back down by Pain, as he revealed his Zanpakuto. You underestimate me, Pain said. His Zanpakuto was a long katana that had a silver hilt and a pitch black blade, with its guard being a fierce swirl. Lure him here, Kensei said, directing his request to Hiyori. Hiyori flash stepped diagonally. The gravitational wave was then unleashed as she quickly but barely avoided it. They clashed blades and began to strike each other, trying to get a good hit. Pain knocked her down as she was slammed into the ground in front of Kensei. Pain then dashed toward her, ready to L Hiyori through the chest. Blow it away, Tachikas, Kensei said as air currents traveled around his blade as it turned into a survival out of combat knife with a black hilt and small rings on the hilt with a blunt edge. As Pain continued to dash, Kensei's knife glowed blue as he grabbed the blue orb out of knife with both of his hands. Once Pain was close enough to almost L Hiyori, Kensei thrusted his hands forward as a huge blast hit Pain directly. The blast stretched along far enough to crash into part of the palace and even hit one of Animal Realm's summons. The blast LD through Animal Realm's Rhino summon as it fell to the ground. Lisa was relieved as she got up and watched as a centipede-like monster began to charge at her. She dashed over to the side and placed her hand on the insect while a wave of electric current flowed through the centipede summon and basically made it explode. Hado 11, Suzuri Raiden. A big around 7-headed dog with the same Rinnegan eyes as all the other summons. The dog began to charge at Lisa. By the time she noticed it, she only had time to do one thing. Bakudo 39, Enkozen. Lisa shouted as a condensed Ryatsu shield appeared in front of her. Unfortunately for her, the dog trampled over the shield as the Ryatsu shield withered away. Lisa was injured badly as she eventually unsheathed her sword and espered it into the dog's leg. She stood on her sword and leaped up into the air, then flash stepped a bit to reach the back of this dog who was busy trampling over Arrancar around the palace, and of course trampling over some of the palace itself. Lisa saw that the Animal Realm Pain was sitting on one of the heads of this dog. Animal Realm looked back at Lisa and took out a dagger from her sleeve. Lisa looked down to see her katana still stuck in the leg of this dog. Animal Realm charged at Lisa, slashing at random angles with her dagger. Lisa dodged, making each evasive movement flow naturally. Once Lisa found a good open spot, she sweep-kicked the Animal Realm, then grabbed her hand and took her dagger. She placed her knee on the Animal Realm and slashed the pain's end with its own weapon. The dog then began to divide into medium-sized dogs with one head only, so there were 7 medium-sized dogs. Lisa fell to the ground because of this, as 2 of the dogs pounced her and began to try and bite her. One of the dogs bit her and she swung her arm at the other dog. The arm she swung had the dog still biting her. The 2 dogs set against each other and turned into a 2-headed dog that ran her over, a bit larger in size. The dogs then charged away into the battle where Kiddo blasts were firing and Seros were being shot. It's their problem now, Lisa said as she got up and walked over to where her sword fell once the dog divided into dogs. She sheathed it and then fell over from exhaustion and pain. Red waves of Ryatsu clashed harshly as what was left of the Domauto roof of Las Noches was being battered. Dante and Arashi continued to fight, exhaustion running through both of them. Dante espered Rebellion into the ground and leapt into the air, avoiding another red Ryatsu wave. He pulled out Ebony and Ivory and began to fire rapidly. Arashi Flash stepped out of the wave of the bullets and appeared behind Dante, who saw it coming and raised his arm and aimed his gun behind him and shot. The bullet LD Arashi's chest and made him fall and slam into the roof and then fall to the ground. Dante landed on the dome and pulled Rebellion up and looked down at Arashi, grinning. "Are done yet, Arashi? I don't want to embarrass you more than you already have." "Shut up," Arashi shouted as he extended his arm and said, "Bakudo 75, Goshuteken." After Arashi said that, 5 incredibly large pillars rose from the ground and immediately pinned Dante to the ground, having Rebellion fly out of his hands. Arashi grabbed Rebellion and espered it through Dante as deep as he could. "I know this didn't kill you, but it'll keep you stationary for a while," Arashi said, then walked off. "Damn it," Dante said as he attempted to move, but the kiddo was too strong that it wouldn't let him. Grimjo finally stopped punching Sasuke, ending his huge marathon of punches with one huge punch, making Sasuke slam through the wall and landing in the hallway of the palace. Sasuke was completely covered in blood, his nose was surely broken as blood was pouring through his nostrils, there were many bruises, he looked horrible. Sasuke slowly got up, darkness once again traveled through his palms as Grimjo laughed. "You've grown weak, Sasuke. I can't believe I actually feared you." Sasuke lifted up his hands, using up most if not all his energy to send thousands of mini spikes of darkness through Grimjo. It LD his whole stomach and through his chest as Grimjo coughed up blood and stared at Sasuke. "I learned a few new tricks while I was away," Sasuke said as he opened up a dark portal and sent Grimjo through it. He panted and then closed it as he took a knee and eventually fell to the side. Yoroiki continued to evade each of Scourge's attacks. The ends of his chainsaw staff began to glow red. Scourge spun the staff around, shooting thousands of Ryatsu blasts at Yoroiki. The Shinigami began to dodge them but eventually got hit by one and then hit by the rest. She rolled back as Scourge leaped up, his staff glowing gold as he slammed it a few inches from her as a huge seismic wave engulfed the area. The wave shattered pillars and the stairs that went up to the prisoner room. It also made Yoroiki fly into the air and hit one of the pillars. Naruto successfully entered the prison chamber and found out that no one was guarding it at all. Naruto wasn't complaining, but he found it odd how no one was looking after the prisoners. He immediately found Kyoraku and Nanao. He quickly got them free of being handcuffed and attached to the wall. Nanao greeted Naruto by hugging him tightly. It surprised Naruto because the whole time he knew her, she was never one to actually do that. "About time," Kyoraku said. "I got here as fast as I could," Naruto stated, grinning a bit. "We thought USD. Before the whole accident, the news had been buzzing on how you were killed by Arashi." Nanao exclaimed. Naruto knew she was worried about him. "Well, I'm alive. Look, this is no place to talk. We need to get out of here now. There's this huge war. Arashi's Akatsuki and Arturo are waging war on Aizen and his Arrancar. Urahara rounded up the visits and they are helping us out, but we can't stay here for too long. See, mourn." Before Naruto left, he noticed an orange-haired girl in the corner, a bit curled up, wearing a white and black dress. She seemed insanely worried as she sat down. She looked up at Naruto, who noticed she was chained up also. Naruto unchained her and helped her up. She thanked him and then looked around frantically. "What are you doing here?" Naruto asked. "I was brought here," Captured, Ichigo and the others were here to rescue me, but I don't know where they are. I decided to come back here because I had nowhere else to go. This Espada was fighting Ichigo and I'll help you find Ichigo. What's your name? Naruto asked. Orihime. I'm Naruto, he said as they shook hands. Then the Shinigami led her downstairs. Naruto and Orihime stopped beside Nanao as Kyoraku stood in front of Yoroiki facing Scourge with both of his Zanpakuto out. Kyoraku, Naruto shouted. Let me handle this one, boy. I haven't had a fight in a while, Kyoraku said, grinning as the two charged at each other. Scourge leapt in the air and Kyoraku ran for a bit, then leapt a few inches under him. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.